All right, guys, we are at the finale of life skills. I know, I hate it too. But hopefully you took something positive from this, and while you're in school, you will learn something, and this will help you to become a better student. But also you will carry this through with you when you're a professional. So let's get started. There's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Buddha. Come on, Miss Bonnie. Get ready, girl. I'm ready. Are you? We left off on perfectionism, and I had said in the beginning about perfectionism that it could make you lose clients. And how is that? Because of the time that it takes, because you're trying to be perfect. And unfortunately, we're in a fast-paced society, so it's like, well, it's kind of like a fine line, because you don't want to go too fast where the client feels neglected, but then you don't want to go too slow because the client has a schedule as well. You know, maybe they have to go pick up the kids or whatever their schedule is. Everybody's different, and so it can make you lose clients because you're trying so perfect to get those little strands in, when overall you've done a good job. And so what that client will leave you saying is, oh, she does wonderful hair, or he does wonderful work, but he takes too long. All right, so that's a thing that you want to work on, and that's a bad habit. And habits can be changed, or it takes you how long to form a new habit? That's right, 21 to 30 days. All right, so now we're moving on to a mission statement, because this is the finale, so I don't want to take up too much time, and I have a lot of information to get to you. What is a mission statement? That is a core statement of your values and who you are as a business. So for instance, Miss V's cosmetology class is dedicated to changing lives through education. That is my mission statement. That is what I value, and that is the core of what this business is. So you have to figure out who you are as a business. And yes, even as a student, you will have a mission statement, because that's going to build on to your business when you're out in the salon and you're telling the world who you are as a cosmetologist. What is going to be your core value to your work that you're giving out to the public. Goals. Setting goals. So there's two sets of goals. Short-term goals, and then there's long-term goals. So for instance, what is my short-term goal? For me right now, for this semester, is to get through my anthropology class with a good grade, and I have 6 more weeks to do it. That's a short-term goal for me. What's my long-term goal? Well, hopefully 5 years from now, I will be at a university, and I will be majoring and doing well in my major that I'm looking to do. So those are short-term, long-term goals, and it could be personal, it could be business, or both. Time management, that is one thing that you really want to learn how to do now as a student, and carry it on with you throughout your career, right? And understand that with time, we don't have much of it, unfortunately. No one knows how long they have. And so you want to make sure that you are using the best of your time each and every day. So while you're a student in cosmetology school, how can you manage your time? Well, what time do you wake up? How long do you take to get yourself ready? You probably have theory class in the morning, and then you have a set schedule of working on clients, or you may be new in cosmetology school, so you may be in freshman class, or some schools call it level 1 class. But all that is managing your time. And then after you leave school, do you have your off time plan? Okay, I'm going to study this long for my homework, and then I'm going to, from this hour to this hour, do my exercise. I'm going to have dinner at this time. I'm going to shower at this time, get ready for tomorrow from this time to this time. And I'm planning on sleeping from this hour to this hour. So all of that is part of managing your time. So an example, me personally, I work during the day from 8 to 4:30. And then after 4:30, sometimes I go over, and but let's say no later than 5 o'clock. And then after that, in my mind, I have a mental note of my time management. Okay, from 5 to 7, I'm going to study, class, do whatever homework assignment I have to do. And then from 8 to 9, I'm going to get my stuff ready for the next day. And then I'm going to rest. So, and I literally do this every day in my mind. Okay, I'm going to do this from this hour to this hour. From this hour, I'm going to study, blah, blah, blah. And that's just a habit that I've developed. So, work on that. Let's see. Have an organizer, notepad, tablets. Yeah, I told you that. Planning, rewarding yourself. So when you've done a good job during the week, then on your weekends, that's your time to reward yourself however you feel like rewarding yourself. That's up to you. Let's see. Using learning tools successfully. So how do you become successful as a student in cosmetology school? Remember, success is different to everyone. But honestly, overall, if you want to be a good student, a great student that will carry forth with you to being a great professional, one, you got to get up and you got to go to school. Now, how you present yourself at school, that's all part of it. You always want to have your hair done. You always, if you wear makeup, that's up to you. Now, in other chapters, which we'll get into in another class, they say you should have your makeup on, blah, blah, blah. I say as long as you look neat and decent. Most schools have a certain uniform you have to wear. So you want that to be clean and ironed, your hair done because you're representing the hair industry. Your nails should look decent. If you have clear polish on, but don't have your polish all chipped up. And if you choose to wear makeup, that's up to you. Have that all done. When you get to school, you won't be doing that. That's part of being a success in school. When you come to class, you're ready to learn. You're not ready to get ready. You shouldn't be doing that, putting your makeup on and combing your hair when you get to school. That's not how it works. Just think if your teacher was doing that. She gets to school and then you're coming in for theory class or for your hands-on class, whatever, and she's curling her hair and putting her makeup on before she gets started with the lesson. Yikes. Okay. So attending class is great. We know that life happens sometimes, but pretty much you're doing your best to attend all the classes. You want to be early. So one good saying, I forgot who I learned that from, but I think it was a Redken class I took. And she said that if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And I always carried that with me because if you think about it, when you come early, you have that little bit of time to get set up and you're ready to roll when that clock starts for the class to officially start. But if I come in exactly on time with everybody else, now my students got to sit there and watch me hustle and bustle to get my books and my lesson plans and hurry up and put my lab coat on and all that when I should have been ready. So technically I'm late because I'd be starting after the time that the class is supposed to start. So you want to be early, you want to attend your classes, You want to take notes, and I know this is a new generation where everybody uses their phones to take notes in, but I feel like the phone is so much a distraction. While you're taking notes, a text comes in, or you get an alert from your Instagram or your social media, and so then you want to click on that, and you don't want anything to take away from your learning. So I would say your good old school pen and paper would be great to take your notes from, because you don't want anything to be a distraction from your learning. Good study habits. There I go with that again. Oh, ask questions. I'm sorry. Now that's one thing I always hated, when you're teaching a lesson and then you say, does anybody have any questions? And everybody just sits there. So you got to understand this, that as an instructor, when an instructor says, does anyone have any questions, he or she wants to really know if you're learning, and if you're having a hard time with understanding something. We're not mind readers, so you need to ask questions no matter how dumb you think that question is. There is no dumb questions, unless you're just being a smarty pants and you're trying to be funny. But other than that, if you are sincerely wanting to know the answer, ask. That's what teachers are there for. I don't care if they roll their eyes or not. They're there to help you and to answer your question. And for me personally, if I don't have the answer, I would say, that's a great question. Let me find out about that and I'll get back to you on that, if I don't have the answer. And I'm going to really do that. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Good study habits. You need to know when's a good time, how do you study, where's a good place to study. So all these are part of your study habits. You want to have somewhere where it's quiet for you to focus. You want to know when's a good time for you to study. And sometimes people will say never's a good time. But you got to remember this, because I know this is a different generation from how I came up. And so I would always tell the students, and I'll tell you as well, when you're studying, it doesn't mean to sit down for 4 or 5 hours trying to cram all that information into your brain. And I always used to say this in class. If you can go online on your social media for 10 or 15 minutes and really be focused on that, you can sit down for 10 or 15 minutes and look at your studies. And that's how you study. 10 or 15 minutes in increments. And it could be every day after school. It could be on your lunch. But at least you're getting that in your brain, because your brain is an amazing recorder. And so, yeah, that's how you develop your study habits. But you're doing it every day. And I can't remember where I saw this, but scientifically, your brain has to look at something 3 times at least for it to become a long-term memory. And even when you can't consciously remember it, subconsciously your brain is remembering that. And so you'll look at a word and then it'll trigger a memory. Oh yeah, I remember that word, right? And then you start relating to other things that you studied. So it doesn't have to be 2 to 3 hours. Let's see. Make a study group. That's a good idea also. Now we're going to move on to ethics. What is ethics? Ethics is your morals that you live and work by. All right. So I always assume that when someone likes to steal from their coworker, they have no morals, which means that outside of work, you would steal as well. Because who does that? Who's going to go into their coworker's station or their bin and take their blow dryer without asking and keep it? Who does that? And then pretends like they never took it. And then, or they ask to borrow it. And then when the coworker's not there, they're not going to hold on to it until their coworker returns. They let someone else borrow the blow dryer that your coworker initially let you borrow. Yikes. So remember that ethics is your morals and values that you live by at home and that you use during your work, right? Developing a positive personality and an attitude. At first, my first thought was, can you really do that? But I would think so. I guess sometimes it takes a little time, because I've had to work with people that had a negative attitude, and I just keep coaching them every time I hear them say something negative. Hey, that's really positive what you just said, speak positive. And I would stay on them, and honestly, over time, they stopped speaking that negativity over themselves. So yeah, I would say it's possible to develop a positive attitude. It just takes work. And especially when you're coming from a place that's always been negative, it does. It takes work, and it can be done. How do you have a good attitude? One, you want to have a pleasant tone of voice, and that counts on the phone as well. How many businesses have I called where they just sound rude and you just kind of want to hang up on them, but you have business to take care of, so you got to speak to them anyway? And sometimes it can get heated to where you have to speak to their supervisor, but you don't want to be that way. So if you're working in the reception area, you always want to make sure that your tone of voice is pleasant when you answer that phone. And then I was always taught, when you say bye to someone, you smile, and they can hear your smile over the phone. Staying even-tempered. I've been yelled at by parents. I've been, yelled at from students' parents, but it wasn't me personally. And clients as well. I've been talked rude to from clients. But what I've learned is it wasn't at me personally. They just were frustrated, and I happened to be there. So over the years, I've just learned to be patient and not let them get me to a point where I lose my temper. Effective communication skills. Remember that communication skills is verbal and nonverbal. So when you get called up to the front for a client and you're dragging, you're like, and rolling your eyes, and then you find out that it's a pedicure, and then you start crying, and just think how that makes the client feel. Just remember that your clients are people as well, right? And so we don't want to put out that we really don't want to do the service. And to me, at that point, when you get to all that, someone else should do the service, because who wants to pass on those negative vibes and make the client feel unwelcomed? Being receptive. So when you get called for a client in school, and they call you out on the floor, so-and-so, your client's in, you are excited, because just think, if you went to school and all you had to work on was mannequins your entire 1,600 hours, that would be a nightmare. So when you get called for a client who was willing to come into the school and willing to be your guinea pig so you could have more practice, you should have a smile on your face and be excited about that. So with that, that concludes the conclusion of life skills. And I want to encourage you to read this book, Lessons in Loyalty, and that's by Lorraine Grubbs-West. It's an excellent book about Southwest Airlines and just about business in general. And it's a small book, so it's not a huge book. You'll take notes with it. It's amazing, and it totally changes your view on how businesses should be run. And also, if you get a chance, watch my video, Customer Service, because it kind of touches on some of these life skills that we as an industry and business industry, period, we're losing when it comes to how to treat people and having integrity and ethics and all that stuff. So with that, guys, I would say don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are enjoying these classes, and like the videos, watch the videos, and I would say God bless you. I really hope that this helped you and that you will carry something from this through your schooling and through your career. God bless you. Thank you guys so much. Bye.